esse curto intervalo para o cafezinho e para os cigarros. Vamos ter agora um segundo painel direcionado para os festivais. Louise Clements, que vem de Inglaterra e que é a diretora artística do festival Format, em Derby, ao pé de Birmingham, e que também trabalha em conjunto, trabalha no Quad, que é o Centro Cultural de Derby, que no fundo faz a gestão do projeto do festival. É um festival bianual que é um pouco uma referência para vários das pessoas e dos fotógrafos que aqui estão conosco hoje. Louise, you're welcome.
Hello, I hope you can hear me well. Thank you to Nuno and for all of the team for inviting us to this amazing festival. I'm looking forward to having a look around the streets and seeing the exhibitions later on today and enjoying the rest of the presentations here as well. So as Nuno introduced, my name is Louise Clements and I'm the director of Quad and Format International Photography Festival. And Quad is a centre for contemporary art and film. It's based in Derby city centre. Derby's in the middle of England, just north of Birmingham, not far from, about an hour and a half by train from London, so it's easy to come to when you want to come visit us, you're welcome. We have a year-round programme in this centre. I was part of setting this building up, been there for more than 10 years, and we have a mixed programme of street festivals, film festivals, and we commission artists who work cross art form, including commissioning films and working with artist residencies. We've got a gallery, we've got a residency space, a production space with Mac computers, and we teach animation, filmmaking, photography, and all kinds of digital media courses, and it also specializes in interactive new media as well. This is one of our cinemas. We have 3 cinemas, and we have an independent world film program there as well. We also have a connection to the British Film Archive, and we have a place called the Mediatek where you can come and watch thousands of short films, documentaries, all kinds of things. There's over 10,000 filmic material there that you can come and watch for free. This is the gallery space. We have a range of exhibitions. We have 4 main exhibitions in a year and a parallel program of around 10 shows in the building, but we also have big touring shows that go out around the world as well. And a range of things from monographic solo shows, survey shows, participatory art shows. That's another thing that Quad specializes in. We involve a lot of people. We like people to come and take part in our programs, and we encourage through engagement programs. We go out on the streets, and mass participation is something that we've been doing every year for the last 7 years or so. And these are projects that involve up to 15,000 people. Was our latest one. Last year we commissioned an Italian filmmaker to work with us, and we cut down the sections of the filmmaking process. It was a 45-minute film, and we cut it up into thousands of small pieces, from director of photography to teaching filmmaking skills to person documenting the process, writing the script, and so on and so on. Our ambition was to work with every person in the city, which is about 250,000 people, but in the end, practically speaking, we worked with over 15,000, which is still a lot of people. We made a film, and we also collaborated with Berlin and Madrid and exchanged actors and created a trilogy of 3 45-minute long films that are now touring film festivals around the world. But the legacy of projects like this, because the photo festival is every 2 years, to bridge the gap and involve people in the city and beyond in projects that engage them in terms of visual literacy and in terms of enjoying art, understanding, contributing as artists themselves, or being aspirational through that process, and working directly with artists. These projects have been really crucial in terms of keeping our audience engaged, so that when we do the festival, there are a lot of people who know about us and hopefully want to come and be part of what we're doing. So Format, I set it up in 2004 with a colleague, a friend of mine, who fortunately works for Derby City Council. He also studied photography in Derby, then he moved away, and then he came back, and now he's still part of the council. And the festival is organized by the city and led by Quad and myself as director. So it's a very important collaboration. When you look at the festivals, how they're organized around the world, it's very useful and in terms of strategy and sustainability and finding resources and also for participation, to have an academic partner, a city council structure partner, and also an arts institution. So Quad is really the base for the festival, and I manage the staff there, have over 70 staff, very fortunate to still have a big team. We're holding on to them in these hard economic times. And we have a technical team, education and participation team, and a program team, as well as the administration team. So Derby has a history of photography. There was a festival in the past, and the university was well known for having a photography degree, and it was one of the popular places to go in the 80s and so on. It's still a good university, still a great course. But we kind of drew on that heritage for reinstigating the festival in 2004. So the previous one ended in '97, and there was also a conservative government in, and there was a round of cuts to culture, and a lot of galleries and festivals and other organizations died at that point. So unfortunately the festival stopped then, but several years later when I came and started working in Derby, I was investigating what things had happened there, and I decided to try and start the first festival. The first edition actually happened in 2005 with hardly any money, just the goodwill of partners in the city and our own energy to put it on. And we had some great response, and that kind of set up the framework for the festival in the future, really. And we have focus. That's a lot of words, but it might help you to read them. But we have focus and exposure. Focus is the invited and curated exhibitions. Exposure is an open call, and we're looking to expose ourselves literally to anybody around the world that thinks that they've got some work that fits to the festival theme. So we're quite open in that invitation, and anyone can apply to it. We also invite applications for workshops, for participatory ideas, for interactive photography, as well as exhibition work as well. And this year we selected over 50 of the projects from that. And we also have the mass participation projects, digital online projects. We have live residencies, live sites of production as well. And because we're based in Quad, we have a solid film program that goes alongside the festival. The festival is every 2 years in March. It happened this year, so the next big one is 2015, but we will do a big portfolio review next year in March and some exhibitions as well. There will be a survey show of multimedia work as well as photo slideshows, so there will be a focus on still image in a kind of a multimedia presentation. And some images from the festival. This was this year. We had the focus of the festival. We've had several different themes. Each time there is a different one. In the past, we've had photo cinema, we've had transform, we've had documentary memory and place, and we had focus on street photography in 2011 called Right Here, Right Now. But this year was factory. And Derby has World Heritage status from UNESCO for having the world's first factory. And the blue building at the top is that place, and it's where mass production started. So had the idea to use that as a structure and a framework for how we can look at and survey photography from around the world about people and their working lives, as well as their time outside of work, and also look at what mass production is in terms of a process. So in the festival, there was quite a lot of live and collaborative production, so producing live on site. We also had a great new venue, which is in the bottom corner, which is a chocolate factory. And we had that space for about 2 years. It's an empty raw space. Unfortunately, the festival was very cold this year. It was about -2 for the whole of March. It was very hard. But it's not normally like that. So if you hear that, it's not always like that. So do come next time and try it out. This is Quad, again, at night. We've got this nice light artwork on the front of the building. It's right in the city centre. It's in the marketplace. It's a great location. And we also use the marketplace as a space for exhibitions and performance and launches and so on. But it also enables us to be right in the heart of the city so that people come into our front door. This is one of the gallery spaces inside Quad, and this was from the exhibition of street photography. But we reconfigure the space all the time, so it always looks different. These are some of the other venues in the city. We have a range of old mill buildings along the River Derwent, which is very beautiful, as well as the museum and art gallery. We have the university, we have a dance centre. We also branch out into Nottingham, which is only 20 minutes away by bus. It's easy to get to, and there's several galleries in Nottingham that are participating in future editions, as well as the one in the bottom corner, which is New Art Exchange. We invite photographers to come and make work. The festival is very much about working with living artists today. We want to work directly with people rather than through mediators. We want to actually kind of breathe a bit of vitality and support and focus our fund. We don't have that much money as a festival, but the little bit that we have, we want to use in a smart way to support people to live and work as artists now. So we do have some archive material in the festival, but also we're kind of interested in supporting our new and exciting archives to set up and sustain. But this is Bruce Gilden. He came to format in 2010. He did new work for the 2011 edition. But it's something also that Nuno mentioned earlier, that it's very important to invite artists to the festival, to your city, to create new work and to bring different perspectives on the place. So I've got a cold from Korea. It's not going. So we invited Bruce Gilden. He came to Derby. We thought it would be really difficult. Derby isn't exactly Tokyo or New York. We found it a little bit hard, but he spent more than 2 weeks with us, and he got into the streets and found a way through and found some really interesting characters. He went to the cattle market, he went to all the different shopping centres. There's some really culturally diverse areas in the city as well that he found some amazing people to photograph. And I think also, just going back to this one, something about inviting photographers to be there and working with you. You actually get closer to their working practice and understanding their mindset. I'm more interested in collaborating in production and of course showing the work that comes out of it as well, but to be able to facilitate and support people to understand working practices and get inside the artist photographers' minds a bit is very interesting for us. So we made a documentary about Bruce on the streets of Derby with British Journal of Photography as well. And it's also interesting to see his process, not to kind of demystify or kind of change how you understand his work, but he's very collaborative with people that he photographs. He does talk to them, and he's a very lovely man. He's very friendly as well. So his photographs may look like he's just given someone a right hook underneath their chin with the camera and the light, but he really does engage with people on the streets. And the exhibition was received really well. Joel Merovitz, we were very fortunate to have Joel come to the festival also in 2011. And things like this happen naturally. We didn't commission him to make new work in the streets. He was just can't help taking photographs. So he's there, and he was photographed by someone else who was a photographer in the city visiting, and then they shared the image later. But those kinds of things, when you kind of bring together a whole range of people, either through invitation or for their own interest in attending, things occur naturally. And there's a lot of focus in the way that we organise the festival in terms of timings to facilitate a meeting place and encourage people to interact. So we try to be as less hierarchical as possible so that people can meet each other. We don't siphon off the VIPs and keep them in a special zone. We allow people to mix together naturally. The open call will be live next year, so you're welcome to apply to it. If you join our mailing list on the format website, then you'll find it in our newsletter as an announcement coming soon. This is one of the artists. I do a lot of portfolio reviews. And I found this artist when I was in Birmingham at one called Rhubarb, which sadly doesn't happen anymore. But just for example, when you have conversations with artists, this was 3 years before the festival happened. And it's something, when you meet somebody and you spark ideas together, these things can happen. So this artist is a street photographer, and his strategy for making work is following people through the streets and making up narratives as to where they're going, what bags they're wearing, how they look. So he kind of is like a street photo detective in some ways. So we decided to set up an investigation room with him. and look at the derbies in different countries. They're mainly in America, the different derbies in America. And he was following up the information about cold cases in derbies in the local paper in Derby, as well as the local papers in Derby in America and other countries. So I had kind of investigation room, a futile act, but very fascinating and an interesting place to come and encounter. And he was there live throughout the festival time doing this project as well. This is another commission from some artists that I met at the Houston Photo Fest portfolio review. And they come to a city and they, with geotagging, they find the location of tweets and they'll go to that specific place and take a photograph. And it's called Tales from the Data Stream. So they find tweets that are particularly melancholic or poetic or mean something to them or resonate in a strange way with the place that they've been tweeted from. And they made some really fascinating work walking around the streets of Derby. But also whilst they visit the festival, they come back for the opening of the festival and we engage them with the public as well. This was for format this year. In the Chocolate Factory, this is an artist group called the Human Printer, and they separate the dot matrix of a photograph, and we worked with Derby University. We had around 30 students as workers, live workers in the freezing factory with felt tip pens that were all totally wrapped up. As you can see, they've got hats on and everything. And they worked every day. So one day they were doing all the blue dots, the next day the yellow dots, and so on. And they printed photographs for the exhibition by hand. The Human Printer, an interesting organization. You can actually email them a photograph on their website, and they'll print it by hand for you. And you can choose which printers you want according to how fast they like. They wake up late, they need coffee, they're slow but accurate. So they kind of have the personality characteristics as the human machine. It's really fascinating. It's a nice project. They're also very good graphic designers as well, these two girls. This was the closing of the festival. Something else that we do is collaborate with industries, local industries in different ways. So we had the idea to work with John Smedley, which is a jumper factory. And they're one of the oldest remaining companies in the region. And they're kind of a global brand. They produce really expensive, beautiful, high quality jumpers from cashmere and beautiful merino wools and so on. They kindly sponsored the festival with scarves, which we'd actually organized last summer. I had no idea that March was going to be so freezing, but fortunately the scarves were very perfect in the end as a gift to give to our guests. But we had, at the last week of the festival, we did a residency with filmmaker, photographers, 5 musicians working together, collaborating with the machines and the workers in the factory, and every day they produced a new film work with music and photography that was uploaded online, so you could look at that. And then in the end, they did a live performance in the space. But we also had a slide luck pot show, and they're a great company that do slide shows with a potluck dinner, so you bring a dish along, so it's eating and watching great quality slideshows. And Slide Luck have partner organized, well, they are spread all over the world, so Berlin, New York, Amsterdam, London, and so on. So if you look, and they have open calls for slideshows quite frequently, and they're open to anyone around the world to apply to submit to. But they also have a good archive online as well, so if you take part in it, then you become part of the legacy of the project. So in terms of visibility, they're quite a good organization to work with, as well as being part of the events, which are very entertaining and always good. And we're working together at the moment on a cookery book where we're combining the photographer's work and tales from the place, from when they were there, what they were eating, and recipes. It's quite difficult. We're still working. It's probably going to take more than a year to combine the ideas together to get it right of how to combine recipes and proper kind of narrative photography and conceptual work. So we're working on that at the moment, but as you'll hear about it soon. We also work with photo collectives. It's another part of the festival to make it a live site of interaction and production. So this year we worked with a great collective called Piece of Cake, and they have members all over the world. In the past we supported an all-female photography group from the Middle East to set up, and they're called Rawiya, and they're still going strong. We had an exhibition, they've been going for 2 years now. They're worth to look up. And also we worked with In Public, which is a great street photography collective. we also like to experiment with ways of showing photography as well. So one of our strap lines is what photography is and can be. And we're always looking at people who are experimenting with the form of presentation. So this is Eric Kessel's family album exhibition. And this is in the main space in Quad. And it involved 5 meters high wallpaper. We wallpapered the entire gallery space, which is really very difficult. But it looks quite simple when you see the photograph. But we wanted to give a sense of entering inside the family album, being part of it yourself as you physically came into the space. So we had a levered wall in the center, piles of 5 minutes. Oh my God, okay. It's going to be some good stuff. So this is the marketplace, and we worked with Magnum. We did a survey of street photography. We collaborated with the marketplace. You can spot some special guests there. We're very fortunate to be working with Brian as a patron for a few years now on the festival, and very grateful for that. And Brian also was commissioned for format this year and made portraits of people in the city, as well as launching his own book, The Black Kingdom, isn't it, by Dari Lewis. It's out recently, so it's worth to check it out. It's a beautiful book. But showing this one because we worked with the market hall. So we did a photo book market inside a working market hall. So the empty spaces in the market we occupied with photo book sellers and independent publishers, but it was mixed together with a lady selling bananas or somebody selling pants, underwear, and it was kind of real life mixed together, and it worked really well in terms of local people connecting with the festival and a fun space to be in. It's one of the most beautiful Victorian buildings in the city, and it was really in the center, but also breathed some life into, because of the economic times, there's a lot of empty spaces in the market, so it was really looking at the way that the festival can breathe life and invest and support the economic development of the city as well, which also is valuable strategically in terms of the city council supporting us and for it to happen there as well. We also do a lot of work with young people, and this is one project where we worked with Seagull Books in Calcutta and young photographers in Derby, and we did an online participatory project with them. We also do a lot of digital interactive work as well. This is Safe Fromage, which is a photo booth, and you can upload your photographs. You have your photo taken, upload it, share it online, and so on. But we also collaborated with the dance center. We had a break dancer, and we commissioned a media artist to make a giant human zoetrope. So it was a stop frame animation of a breakdance sequence, and you could save that your short section as an animated GIF, as a short stop frame animation, and share that online, but also became part of the exhibition as well. So we're kind of experimenting and challenging what we can do. But our biggest mass participation project was working with IEM, which is a mobile phone photo app. It's cross-platform, it's free, it's very good, nice alternative to Instagram. They don't want to own your photographs. They're a bit more open-minded, so check them out. They're rivaling Instagram. Just before, kind of towards the end of last year when the scandal around Instagram came out, IM was still quite a young company, but since then they've really boomed. They've got millions of users, and they're very user-friendly, nice, and they have a lot of interesting tips, and they're quite engaging, and they collaborate with festivals and organize exhibitions, so they're kind of more proactive, and they're kind of run by artists based in Berlin. But anyway, we did a mass participation project. We did 3 missions. We set up a printer, so we printed out every photograph that came through to us. There was over 7,000 from nearly 193 countries around the world. It was quite considerable. And we printed them out, but we also wanted people to collaborate in the curation of the exhibition as well. So we had the trays of photographs, and we invited the general public to come along and put the photographs on the wall. And we worked with a local printing company who also supported us for the printing of the exhibitions as well. It was a great platform for them, and we printed the photographs on sticky back paper, so they were like stickers. And people were very inventive. This was a really lively space. This was a more localized project where we were asking people to take photographs in the city, and then we used GPS to locate them on a map. And we do a big portfolio review. This year we had over 50 reviewers and over 120 photographers participating in it, and we have a big open portfolio night, which is a portfolio promenade, so you can walk around and see all the photographers that are taking part in the portfolio review. But and we'll have another review next April. Oof. I'll just skip over these, but generally I was going to talk about why festivals are important and how key they are to a city, and in terms of social cohesion, intercultural dialogue, and all these buzzwords. But genuinely, festivals are great catalysts and motivators for people to work together. They provide a focal point and critical mass, and they are places where you can experiment. You can be a laboratory. You can take more risks at a festival than an ongoing year-round program, because it's kind of a transformation of the everyday and an interruption of the normal. So, and also in terms of attracting students to the university, I had a meeting with Rolls-Royce, major international brand, and we were talking about the kinds of things that they tell their prospective workers. Why is Derby an interesting place to come? Derby's a really small city. There's not that much going on there. It's strategic. It's an easy place to live because you can travel around from there. It's quite a good base. But the cultural offer of the city is really important. And in terms of looking for sponsorship in the future, finally now, after 6 editions of the festival, businesses in the city are starting to realise that having something like the format is really valuable for themselves, for retaining their workers, and for making it an attractive city to come to as well. So just a few kind of statements, grand statements about why festivals are good. But they are very important. I'm very passionate about festivals. I'm fortunate to have visited many around the world, and kind of the combination and the impact that festivals have, not only on the scene of photography, but on kind of local people, businesses, so cafes, restaurants, car parks, hotels, and so on. The economic impact of a festival happening in the city, if you build it in the right way, so you get the critical mass points and build the audiences, can be very valuable for the country and for the city itself as well. That's where Derby is. So come and visit us. We've got a local airport, East Midlands Airport. It's only an hour and a half from London, so it's easy to get to. And that's our info. So thank you very much, and welcome.